welcome back to the Average White Guys. My name's Alex Haynes, one of the owners of A Squared. We turn those likes into dollar bills. That's right, we're a marketing company who help business owners like you turn those likes on social media into real paying clients. Ladies and gentlemen, we have talked about him. There's been whispers about him. There have been even lies and statues built upon this man. Lies I've told. Good lies. But he is here in the studio today. You can say his name with me by this point. If you've ever watched it, that's right. Please welcome Justin Scouten, the man of the hour.
Hello. Hello, everyone. This is Justin, LW Properties Community Real Estate Services. Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a fun subject to talk about tonight.
I'm really excited. Can I introduce it today?
No, I think this is better if I do.
Are you sure? Okay,
Yes.
Go ahead.
So we are going to talk about why Alex Haynes is single.
Wait, what? I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wait. No, we were talking about Utopia and Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah.
So kind of.
Oh, yeah. So why I'm single.
Why I'm steering.
That's what it is.
Because you are kind of leading this conversation tonight.
Yeah. So, big shocker. We've talked about this off podcast. I am single. So if you happen to watch this and are my age and are rich and single and female, you have to be female, born female. Let me just throw that out there right now. Please reach out to me. I am pretty desperate.
Saying you have a preference. That's it.
I don't care.
You have no problems. You just have a preference.
I have problems, but that's a whole nother conversation. We'll get into my problems here. So the joke is I'm single, and we were talking about the other day my upbringing and some of my background, and you looked at me like for the first time ever and realized how much of a nerd and geek I am. Because we're talking like people talk about sports. I'm like, oh yeah, I read. You're like, well, what did you read? And I'm like naming all these classical books and like these things we did, and like grew up watching musicals and like understanding music and writing music, and much more bent toward the educational side of things, where I was encouraged to read things like Moby Dick and Count of Monte Cristo, and
And the only sports team you knew were the Ravens and Orioles because that's where you grew up.
I grew up and I knew they existed and would get confused about what they played, and neither played hockey apparently. So it's a joke. I do know one plays baseball and football.
Yes.
Don't ask me any follow-up questions. Funnily enough, my brother's a big Ravens fan and he loves the football stuff. And so, which is weird. But anyway, so tonight we were talking about what should we talk about? I was like, you know what? We should talk about horizon events and whether humanity can be a utopianism. Is it going to be Star Wars or Star Trek?
And I asked, what the heck is the difference between Star Wars and Star Trek besides the type of movies they are?
So, and we were talking about like, what does this have to do with today? And I was like, well, with AI and that being a horizon event and the world changing, where is this leading humanity? And what are we going to become in the next 5-10 years? And the look in your face was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What was the horizon event? What? Start over. And so I think this was a fun conversation. I thought it'd be we're a show about nothing. Two average white guys talking about the world.
Yeah.
Star Trek and Star Wars is a pretty white guy thing, I thought. Maybe just a nerdy thing. So let's start with the premise of
the horizon event.
Yeah, let's start with what I mean by Star Trek and Star Wars, then we'll go back to the horizon. So Star Trek says, hey, we will all eventually have no more wars, no more religion, all work together for the betterment of mankind and explore the world and the universe beyond the earth and see if there's other life forms and just go where no man has gone before, right? That is basic premise that we all work together.
You said this is a utopia is how they bring it.
It would be a great word to explain it. We don't worry about money. We pursue the things we love. That is the essence of what Star Trek is, I think. That's how I would say it. Or Star Wars is one world government who has decided there's a dictatorship and they make the rules, and we have a bunch of rebels trying to fight against that for freedom and what they perceive freedom. And then you have things like robots doing manual labor, and world around us, humans are doing politics and fighting wars. And you have individual like cities all clashing for resources, right? So those are the kind of two very different futures projected to us in today's world, right?
Yeah.
In TV.
Which I thought was very interesting because you definitely go deep into the psychology, I think is that a good way of saying that, of what those movies entail and why they actually have the sagas. And that's why I look at it and go, oh, that's why there's a saga on that. Yeah. That's why it leads into this one. And I look
You're
at
like,
you.
pew,
This
pew, zap, zap. This is
Yes.
fun, right? Okay.
you get interested in those, and that's why actually we've had these conversations, and you've gotten frustrated with saying, well, if you really think about how Star Wars works, they didn't get into this aspect of it, and so they really ruined this movie because they didn't do this. And I'm like, yeah, that was really entertaining. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we talked about some of the books. Like I read The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit and The Silmarillion. Super uber geek here. Most people don't even know The Silmarillion exists. So I know like a bunch of backstory about who wrote and why it was written. The whole Hobbit series, right? And so I wasn't a big fan of the Amazon because they retold their version of the story, which was very different than the original author or his intention. They put politics into a great story and kind of, in my mind, ruined it.
It's kind of like the Game of Thrones too, right? I've heard so many
Yeah,
stories of
Game
how
of
it's so
Thrones.
different than the books, actually.
Well, it got ahead of the books, and so
Mm.
that was part of the problem with the Game of Thrones.
Okay.
And who knows if it was going to finish the books or not. But they're great books. You should read. I highly encourage people to read books. You know, if you ever read the actual Wizard of Oz, it's very different story than the Disney version. Wizard of Oz book is much, much darker.
We keep sidetracking here,
Yeah,
and
anyway.
I'm sorry, but no, I'm actually going to sidetrack a little bit more. I watched Supernatural.
Oh
It
yeah,
was the one with the Wizard of Oz.
yeah.
That's actually pretty good. How it explained how it's actually
Very dark.
almost like the Disney movies types, how they go off.
Yeah, I love
Anyways.
it.
So we were talking about Utopia. We're talking about Star Trek, Star Wars differences.
I hypothesized or put before you the question is, in the future, which way are we going? And I said, well, we've had a Horizon event, and I see another one coming in the next 5 to 10 years. And you were like, well, what is a Horizon event? Well, in the world of science, Horizon event is basically a point of no return. It has to do with black holes, and at one point, if you get sucked into it, you can't come back, right?
Yeah.
And so we had a Horizon event with the adoption of large language models, aka ChatGPT, and the use of machine learning becoming user friendly to everybody.
So let's step this back a little bit, though. Let's talk about more Horizons events that I think we've learned about in history that we can put a more perspective on it.
So we've
Industrial Revolution was a Horizon.
That was the Dark Ages, right?
Yeah.
So we had the Dark Ages where science was still budding and learning, and then we got to the Industrial Revolution. And that took what,
500 years?
500 years or something. And I'm sure someone
More.
is going to tell me I'm totally wrong about some of this stuff online. Please do. Throw it in the comment section below.
Like
I
that
love
button.
learning. And then, but the crazy thing from the Industrial Revolution to what was the next one? Technology was only like 100 years. It was way shorter. Well, that technology revolution led to the next revolution, which was like a 50-year gap. So each iteration of revolution became shorter and shorter and shorter. And so now we're seeing within what used to take 100 years to do, take 5 to 10 years. Think about what AI did when it first started. AI is still new. We're like 3 years into this, 4 years into this, right? Well, there's a conversation in my world, because I do film and television, about who's the actor who they had eating spaghetti? Will Smith. It was Will Smith eating spaghetti, and it looked really bad. It was awkward. The spaghetti looked like worms. His face was distorted, and it looked like something out of a horror nightmare, right? It was just very funky. Well, fast forward till now, we are making deep fakes where not only is he making the spaghetti in a kitchen, he's now eating it, and it looks like it was real. Like we were watching him in his kitchen, and his voice is right. I literally watched someone film something, and they switched out a name so only one part was unique, but like someone got a birthday message and it was from a famous player, and it looked and sounded exactly like them saying their name. I was like, holy crap.
Almost some of those, unfortunately, those scams that are going on right now, where people will say, hey, this is some famous actor, please help support this charity, those type of things, right? But it's so authentic, it sounds like it, and they can fit it in so well.
Yeah, that's what we call deep fakes, right? So the Horizon event was the adoption of what we're going to call AI, right? User-friendly AI for the general public, which people are now using to build businesses on, to streamline things, which I think is going to lead to the next Horizon event, which is the adoption of robots doing jobs. And we're starting to see that a little bit.
I.e. George Jetsons with the maids and everything else.
And even this year, we saw someone produce, Tesla has a robot that's currently being driven by humans. Someone else did another robot recently where they're trying to do something similar, but give it 5 to 10 years, possibly sooner, if we have a Horizon event happen, where basically what happens is a breakthrough in technology. in 5 to 10 years, we're going to see robots actually replace someone physically. They'll do a job that someone else could have done because it will never sleep. It will never complain. It will do the job theoretically perfectly every time, which is both amazing and scary.
Yeah.
Right.
There's some things just being in a construction background. I have my contractor's license. So there's some things I look at and you kind of go, yes, I can see how it would work with certain things in building a home, building a building in like you can have it maybe in concrete because you can have them do the pouring.
Yeah.
You can maybe have it tying the rebar. I'm just giving some small examples here, but I don't see how it's going to actually be able to know how to run the correct cables the right way into the right building, into the right spot. I mean, that to me was what more blows my mind more than I can see them building cars.
Yeah.
Those are the differences of trades I think are going to be so much harder to replace because I'm not really going to want a robot to come into my house to fix my plumbing.
So not yet.
Not yet, you're right, but
and this is where
hopefully not in my lifetime.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I hope you live more than 10 years.
Okay.
Right. Please hit that subscribe button so we can pay for his
early retirement,
whatever medical bills he's not telling us about. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead and give now. No, so I think in our lifetime, quite literally, definitely in my lifetime and possibly yours, we will see service jobs start to be phased out for robots. Not all of them. It will start with something simple. Like you said, there are jobs that won't get because they're more complicated. But over time, as every time there's one, there'll be an iteration of the next model that's a little bit better and a little bit better.
Like computers, phones, anything like that.
I mean, 3 years ago, there was no way a robot could make art. 3 years ago, there was no way a robot could make films. 3 years ago, there was no way a robot could write your social media posts or write your emails for you or listen to and record something and then give you notes. Right?
Okay, so sidetrack here. When you just brought up art.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest into art. My mother-in-law is huge into art and I love some of the pieces. So I love art, but in the sense of I won't go and buy a $10,000 painting. Those type of things. That being said, if a robot is doing the art, isn't that still the artist programming it how to do the art?
So there's something to be said about.
Okay.
So
just a thought or a theory that I'm kind of going.
We are not yet to the point where computers are ideating, which means creating their own ideas.
Mm-hmm.
They're mimicking. At some point, and this is what gets scary.
Yes.
That will change. It's just nature of the beast. Eventually, you'll be smart enough to learn, train, and try and experiment. That's when we're going to have discussions of, the Star Trek question.
Or Matrix.
The Matrix is, does the computer have rights? Well, that's gonna be a whole mess.
Yeah.
But we're not gonna talk about that today.
But that does get into kind of the conversation we're talking about with utopias and is how far is technology going to go to make our lives easier, and will it actually make our lives easier?
So I will say, for my business, right, wrong, or different, we leverage AI, but I have told every employee who works for us, I want you to leverage AI because it'll make your job easier. Not because I'm going to replace you. I want you to run an army of bots to make your life easier and deal with the tasks I give you. Because at the end of the day, we can make what we do better and more cost effective. We can pass that on to clients, or I can charge the same and give you more, right?
Yeah.
Help increase pay, increase stuff, and you get more sense of accomplishment. And I've told them, I want you to focus on what you love to do and let the bots do all the crap you hate. Like, that's what I try to instill into my team. For me too, I say, look, can a bot do this job? Or do you want to do do you find happiness and joy doing this? Well, I don't really like doing it. And let's have a bot do it if it can do it well.
Yeah. And I think that's what most, I would think, our world is hoping technology and AI is going to do.
Right.
But as we know, everybody likes to advance it past what we
should do.
One of the conversations I hear a lot is, especially from artists, I wanted bots to fold my laundry so I could focus on my art, not do my art for me so I can fold my laundry.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. You were passionate about your art, and because something can do it faster and potentially better, right, than you, it can be very depressing. Like I have been depressed at times when I see someone put something out AI, but I'm like, man, that's a job that I wish I could have had. But then I also get excited going, well, let me learn how to do that.
Yeah.
That's the difference between me versus somebody else. I go, how do I leverage that?
Yes.
Not get sad and cry that I didn't get it. Let me get better. Let me use this tool and be the guy that makes that video, makes money off of it, right? So I can pay someone to fold my laundry or buy that robot to fold my
laundry. That's revolution.
Yeah, evolution, is the fact of we're always trying to figure out how to use what tools we have right now to make our lives better.
Yeah, if we go back to when the radio first came out, when people said it's going to end the world, it's going to be crazy. People are going to lose their jobs. What about all the newspapers aren't going to go out of business? Newspapers didn't go out of business. They're still around. Now, have they taken a lot of hits? Yes. Do they still exist? Yes. Are there as many jobs? No. Radio still exists. And after the internet came out, everyone said radio and TV were going to go away, or radio is going to go away after TV came out. Radio still exists today. Well, there's going to be no more TV stations because internet came out. It's still here. Like people make these assumptions that everything else will immediately die off. That's not what happens.
Except for Blockbuster.
Well, that's a whole different story.
AOL. I'm just sorry. There's a couple of them.
Yeah. They only bought Netflix when they could have had the chance, right? Right. Wish you could have, should have. But anyway, so we were talking about horizon events. I think we're coming up to one in 5 to 10 years where robots are going to start doing real people's jobs, the service jobs. I think it's going to be at least 5 to 10 years before they can do some of them, not all of them. And so the question is, when we no longer need humans to do all the work and we have bots, what are humans going to do with their time?
And that's where the sense of the utopia comes in. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Where
is it going to be utopia or is it not? Is it going to be government overreach? And what do you think?
That's a great question. I don't think utopia I definitely don't think there'll be utopia in my lifetime for sure. I just think there's too much with religions and beliefs and everything else that it is unfortunately going to take that war at first to be able to do something like that. And so that's the unfortunate thing. But then on the other hand, if you look at a government run, we're talking true government run of the worlds, again, it's probably going to have to come down to some world war.
Yeah.
And so that's where disaster is going to happen before anything good like that could happen.
Yeah. I'm also looking...
If good can even come from that.
True. I think it's also crazy because people are talking about going to Mars. Like in our lifetime, we could see potentially the first settlement on another planet. You're going to survive? Who knows? But let's say they succeed. At what point does Mars decide that they want to be their own thing?
Yeah.
And have their own rules and their own everything? Like at what point, do we have interstellar travel? At what point do you go on vacation to the Mars, whatever, Disneyland? Because God knows they're going to put something on there. There'll be a Disneyland there too, on the moon. At what point?
Their stocks are going down. So
maybe we're not Disneyland. Someone will buy the mouse. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
Buy it, make it Disneyland Resort in Mars. Mickey's Mars.
What movie was that with Arnold Schwarzenegger? Where they went to Mars?
Total Recall?
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah.
Did that a while. A remake and it didn't do as good.
No.
Yeah.
First movie was actually really weird if you ever watched it. And the fact they wanted to do a remake was also weird because anyone had been like, we got lucky the first time?
Yeah.
Purely. I'm like, I still watch the movie.
It's because he was a blockbuster person at the time was the only reason they even...
Yeah. It was a weird movie.
Sorry. We're off track, but we're still
talking about Mars.
Still talking about Mars. So the real question is, with the evolution of AI, with jobs potentially being lost, or I should be managed by people and done by robots, where does our society go? What are your thoughts?
I just can't put my head around, especially in the service industries, how it's going to, even in 20 years, take over on it. I mean, I've been now around for the last 30, 40 years, so I've seen the evolution of so many things. Mm-hmm. But I just, like I said, going into somebody's house, being able to diagnose why a sink is clogged. I just don't see how technology would be able to do that. So that's why I can't.
Weirdly, I can, but That's a whole nother conversation.
How do you see it then? Now I'm putting the question back on you.
So let's use the plumber example. So plumbers use a tool
Mhm.
to scope, right?
Yeah.
So basically you just need a robot to show up to a house, get directed to where the clog is. They run that. They can analyze that data. They go, oh, there's a clog there. There's not a clog there. There's roots. I can identify blah, blah, blah. There's sensors. They go, this is what it's going to take. Now they have to fix it. Now, are they going to run that machine? They're going to push a button and it's going to cut the roots. Or are they going to have to dig up and a new team's going to show up and dig up the yard and replace
See,
it?
that one I like. Now they can do all the digging they want.
So yeah, so like, and that's what we'll start. Like I 100% the jobs that people don't want that are super cost effective because it's so laborious. A great example, fruit picking. In California, fruit picking is one of the hardest jobs that pays the least, requires the most amount of people. Now, if you had robots to do that and you have to pay people, do you understand the amount of money that's saved? It's tremendous. You're also displacing a lot of jobs, right? That's the crutch. People are going to be angry that jobs are replaced, but the end user, the farmer, would be happy. And theoretically, if greed's not imposed, the price of fruit should come down because there's a less cost to now harvest that. Also, there should be more fruit because the fruit won't disappear, won't be eaten. People do that, but people do that. It won't disappear. So you have less waste. And because of how fast it potentially be done, because robots could technically work 24/7, right? You work
Yeah.
at night, you could have a bigger harvest, which means more crop, bigger harvest, more potential to sell, which brings down the costs of everything if there's more to offer, right? This is
In theory, I'm
theory,
getting it, but
right?
I'm also kind of
plus you
going,
bring down the cost of labor. And we know labor is the most expensive thing.
I get that, but I'm here. Okay, so here's a rebuttal to that. The cost of labor for one person to maybe do that job is going to say after taxes and workers' comp, assuming this is all legal, right?
Sure.
And you're maybe talking $40,000, $50,000 a year, and minimum right there. I'm saying because that is just a minor labor job for the most part.
Mhm.
That's one.
Yeah.
You're going to have to. The technology for that is what's the cost going to be, and that's
$30,000 to $40,000.
See, I see something like that's going to cost you more like $100,000
Yeah,
or plus. And then you have the maintenance on it, and then you have
robots they're talking about putting out, like the Tesla robot. They're saying it's going to be about $30,000 to $40,000, maybe 60.
What does that Tesla robot do?
Well, eventually the Tesla robot is supposed to be like a humanoid. So it's supposed to be able to pick up boxes, move things around. His vision is that everyone will have basically a robot servant, to do all the tasks you want done at your house, which in theory could be really useful. Like there's a lot of use cases, especially like senior citizens who need help walking, getting groceries. Like there's a lot of tasks that could be done by robots that a lot of people would find very beneficial.
yeah, especially for those who are handicapped, seniors that need help with things. I get those.
Right. And so where it becomes a problem is when people are displaced from jobs. Right. So a lot of this is menial tasks. Those people will no longer have jobs. They had those jobs because they couldn't get other jobs. Right, wrong, or different. There's nothing wrong with the physical labor work. I appreciate all the people who do because God knows I can't paint. Talked about this. I get fired for free. Like I've helped for free and been fired from a job for painting. Like I'm abysmal.
Like you're costing me more money
Yeah,
even
pretty
doing it
much.
free than it is
Please
worth it.
don't.
Yeah.
Go buy pizza and don't come back. So like I've been like I just can't paint. Like I can't fix stuff. I've tried to fix stuff and ended up having to buy brand new things. Like, I tried to fix a bike and then had to go buy a new bike because I broke the bike. It was a chain thing and now the whole bike's in pieces. Like it's awful. I pay a mechanic because God knows if I try to fix my own car, I will die. My brakes will no longer work. Right? That's me changing the oil.
My mind's been racing though and trying to see because every time there is this Horizon event,
yeah,
we adapt somehow.
Oh, absolutely.
And even though jobs are taken away, jobs are brought into another location or another something. So
we will have people managing bots. We will have people programming bots. Like it's crazy. When you were raising up, you went outside and played, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids these days are literally programming. They're playing programming and building apps for fun. Like that used to be a class you were forced to take. And now they're doing it like they grow up with iPhones and in their hand and they just know how stuff works. Like I'm to that. I hate to say this, but I'm to the point where I've had to ask them questions about technology. Like, how do I get this to work? Oh, it's just this button. I'm like, I used to be the guy who did all that, but now I focus on other things. So I'm not as caught up with some of this. And now it's like I'm seeing this. There's a 5-year-old I know who is playing a game that has to do with music, but it's basically the building blocks of programming, and he's learning how to program now
because of how it's being taught.
because of how it's being taught. And he's enjoying the game, and he's basically training him now at a very young age to start thinking like a programmer. So by the time he's 10, he could be doing and building games for fun and coding using these cool apps, something I would have dreamed of doing at 50 or 60.
So our technology is going to start teaching possibly how to
You're gonna have
Program.
People, yeah, you're gonna have people creating unique programs for these bots that now exist. That's what they're gonna be paid to do, right? It's gonna be users like, oh, I can turn your bot and to make it do this thing for you it wasn't meant to do. Make your life that much better. I can give you 20% more efficiency and 10% more battery if you buy this thing for me or you let me do this thing or black market.
Yeah.
I can hack it to do these things that weren't allowed by the US government because the government's going to say you can and can't do certain things.
I wish, to answer your question, I wish we could find some kind of utopia.
Yeah.
I definitely don't see it in my lifetime because, again, I think they're going to have a disaster before something like that comes around.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I'm just basing that off of the movies that I've seen as well and how they theorize everything.
Yeah, I definitely foresee government oversight becoming worse, not better. So I feel like the Star Wars, where it's like one world government and people fighting to get freedom, because that is human nature, is to take over and hold on to and try to control.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's kind of where I see things going. Doesn't mean it's not going to be all bad, but I definitely think whenever you go forwards, there's a chance you can also go backwards.
Yeah.
Right. So you can get to a point where you're so advanced that you actually fall into like old habits where dark ages can come back around, because when you don't teach or educate, people become dumb and people become lazy. And that the one downside of AI and bots, this is what I worry about, is people become so reliant
Mhm.
on something else. They become
Is it like
malleable is the word I'm going to use, but dumb sheep. And
Are you talking more like Wall-E type effect where
the
they're-
Wall-E effect, yeah,
Yeah.
where they just become lazy and they stop. Like they don't have to do anything, so they won't. They won't even pursue dreams. They'll just want to sit and get entertained. That's my fear, is that when you don't give people a reason to do something, sometimes they'll just die. That's why I'm scared.
Then when we were talking about some of these things, you're saying when I think Utopia.
Yeah.
But then I also see there's almost always going to be classes.
Yeah.
I think it's too hard to get away from that. So unfortunately, I see.
Someone's going to own the robots.
Yes. Well, I almost see it kind of like Hunger Games.
Mm,
Those who are in the 1 and 2 levels, what are they
Yeah.
called?
I don't
Yeah.
remember, but the
Capitals,
capital, yeah.
yes. But those are there. I mean, if you saw that, that's a utopia for them. Everything
well.
was perfect for them. They had no problems.
Yeah.
So,
Theoretically,
isn't it? Well, yeah.
it's all lies.
government ran?
Government ran.
There we go.
Bunch of lies. Oh man, we're pro government. Please don't find us and shut us down. We
Yes.
love you.
We're just going off the movies. That's all. That's
Let's
it.
go off
That's
the
it.
waves. I swear I don't have any other information. Anyway, I'd love to know what our audience thinks. This is not like a fear thing. I just play with me a little bit here and look into the future. What do you think the future looks like? Are we going to be more man helping man for the good of mankind, all doing what we love? Or is it more like, are we more afraid the government's going to take over and control everything and we're going to be on our own fighting
Yeah,
for
nobody's
freedom?
going to say that in the comments.
Nobody's going to say that. Just put a number 2.
Okay.
Or is it something else? How do you think this is all going to shake out? Right? Do you think we're all going to get universal income and we're all going to do whatever we want to do? Right?
And for those who are not geeks,
Yeah.
just start paying attention more to these Star Wars and Star Trek movies. You'll actually get a little bit more out of it and how much actual thought goes into these trilogies and everything else. So it did enlighten me. I had fun talking about this conversation because of the fact of I didn't realize how deep some of these movies get sometimes.
Yeah. It gets pretty crazy.
Yeah.
And you too can leave a comment in the section below. Or if you're single, just reach out to me directly. No, I'm just kidding. We hope you had a great time with it. I'm not kidding. We hope you had a great time. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. That shows us some love, baby, because we need it. I'm so single, so sad. Until next time, we are
The average white guys.